Hello students, this is Ms. Dalton and this is video 10.3, Solving Rationals by Cross Multiplying. In this video we're going to talk about the first method for solving rationals, which is using cross multiplication. Now one thing you want to pay attention to is that cross multiplication only works when you have a single fraction equal to a single fraction. You will cross multiply like a proportion and then you will solve the resulting equation. Remember, your resulting equation could be a quadratic, so you may need to use factoring, completing the square, or the quadratic formula. Check your answers when you're done because you might have some extraneous solutions. Okay, so let's look at this first example. We have 9 over 3x equals 4 over x plus 2. So we're going to cross multiply. We're going to take 9 and we're going to distribute it to the x plus 2. I'm just going to write this down, but of course you can do it in one step if you would like. And then we're going to do 4 times 3x. Again, you can do that in one step by making that 9x plus 18 equals 12x. At that point you want to solve it, so you're going to have to get your x's together. So if I subtract 9x, I'll be left with 18 equals 3x. Then divide both sides by 3, x equals 6. Now you do want to check this, so I'm going to plug in a 6, so I'll have 9 over 3 times 6 is 18 equals 4 over 6 plus 2 is 8. So both of these reduce to 1/2. And so therefore 6 checks. Okay, example 2, we're going to cross multiply again because we have a fraction equal to a fraction. So first I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. 8x minus 8 equals this multiple. So go ahead and distribute again. So that would be 6x minus 4. Then go ahead and solve it. So let's get our x's together by subtracting 6x. So that gives us 2x. And then go ahead and add 8 to the other side here to get that to cancel. So we'll have 2x equals 4. Divide by 2, so x equals 2. Now let's check it. 8 over 3 times 2 minus 2 is 8 over 6 minus 2, that would be 4, so that would be a 2. But let's go ahead and simplify the other fraction. So 2 over 2 minus 1 would be 1. So then does that equal? And yes, it does. So that is your answer. Example 3. Go ahead and cross multiply. So we're going to do x minus 3 times x plus 2. Now, remember, if you have x minus 3 times x plus 2, you're going to have to use FOIL. So that's going to be x squared minus x and minus 6. Okay, equals. Then I'm going to do x times x plus 5, and so that's going to be x squared plus 5x. Okay, get everything on one side. When you have quadratics, you have to get everything on one side of the equation. If I subtract x squared over here, that's going to cancel on both sides. Now let's go ahead and subtract the 5x over here. So that would give you negative 6x minus 6 equals 0. Now let's go ahead and add the 6 over to the other side. Negative 6x equals 6, x equals negative 1. Now go ahead and plug it in and check your answer to make sure it works. So I'd have negative 1 minus 3 over negative 1 plus 5 equals negative 1 over negative 1 plus 2. So let's go ahead and simplify that. That would be negative 4 over 4. And on the right side, that would be negative 1 over 1. Okay, well, negative 4 over 4 does, in fact, reduce to negative 1. Negative 1 divided by 1 is negative 1, so therefore, this is a good solution. Okay, example 4. So we're going to take this factor and multiply it times this factor using FOIL. So that would be 4x squared. Then you would have 16x and then minus 16x, so the x's cancel. And then negative 16 times positive 4 is minus 64 equals. Then when we multiply here, we're going to distribute the 4 all the way through there. So that would be 4x squared. Then we'd have plus 8x. And then minus 32. Okay, go ahead and get everything on one side. If I subtract 4x squared, it happens that the x squareds cancel again. So at that point, we have negative 64 equals 8x minus 32. I'm going to go ahead and add 32 to this side to get that to cancel, so I'll have my 8x by itself. Negative 64 plus 32 is negative 32, and divide by 8, x equals negative 4. Now, let's check it. So we'd have 4 times negative 4 minus 16 over negative 4 squared plus 2 times negative 4 minus 8, and that would have to equal 4 over negative 4 plus 4. Now I can go ahead and stop right here because look, when I do negative 4 plus 4, that's going to give me a 0, and you cannot divide by a 0. So therefore, this is an extraneous solution. This cannot work, and so you would say it is no solution. Okay, last example. Go ahead and cross multiply. So when I do 3x plus 5 times x minus 1, that would give me 3x squared plus 2x minus 5 equals, then if I multiply these together using FOIL, I would get 2x squared. The x's would cancel, so then I'd have minus 2. So go ahead and do minus 2x squared to get the x squareds on this side. So then we have x squared. Now I'd also want to get the plus 2 over here, so I'd bring down that plus 2x, and then I'd have minus 3 equals 0. Remember, with the quadratic, it's important that you get everything on the same side. And now you can use factoring or quadratic formula. Now I just happen to notice that this factors pretty easily. X plus 3 times x minus 1. So solving, I would need to set both of those equal to 0. And so this would give me x equals negative 3 and positive 1. Now, you do want to make sure that you substitute it back in. I notice that when I substitute in a 1 right here, that's going to give me 0 in the denominator, and that can't happen. So that's not going to work. So then the other one that I'd want to check is the negative 3. So if I do 3 times negative 3 plus 5 all over 2 times negative 3 minus 2, let's see if that equals negative 3 plus 1 over negative 3 minus 1. So 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4 over 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Negative 6 minus 2 would be negative 8. And then we'd have negative 2 over negative 4. Now, both of those do reduce down to 1/2. So negative 3 would be your only solution. Okay, hopefully you understand this pretty well. If you have any questions, please write them down, and I'll see you in class.